Hi, I'm Kate. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. Today I will be discussing my March TBR. So as you can hear already, there might be some jingling. That would be my cat Winnie with her beloved toy. If there's a baby crying, I got new shelves in the living room. It's a new filming location. The child next door cries a lot. And if you hear polka music, that's kind of a new one today. So we might have some fun, funky background music. Winnie, psst. So, TBRs. I love making them. I love watching people's videos. However, I am terrible, not terrible, but I'm not the best at sticking to them. I'm gonna mention a lot of books. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily gonna get to them all. I also have like my book of the months coming in, so that could totally change my plans. But I like making TBRs. So yeah, these are just the books that are like highest on my priority list at the moment that I'm really excited to read about. But again, so let's just get into it then. Let's start with what I'm currently reading. Oh, and before I start, there are some books that I will be reading this month that I am purposely not mentioning at the moment because I'm not entirely sure what those books will be. I'm going to be taking part in Read-a-thon, which I believe was started by Murphy Napier, and I saw on Elliot Brooks's channel, so I will link both of their videos down below. There are challenges, or you could just reread some of your favorites. I have an idea of what I want to read, but I'm not entirely sure yet. So I'm still giving that some thought, so that will be a separate TBR in the next few days, but there is kind of like a hint to what I'm thinking about rereading within this TBR, something that relates. So yeah, anyways, back to what I'm currently reading. I have gotten about 40 pages into Ghost Wall by Sarah Moss. I'm really enjoying it. It's only like 130 pages, so I plan on finishing it tonight. This was actually just long listed for the Women's Prize in Fiction. I was actually very excited that I've read 3 of them already on the list, and this will be my 4th. So again, that might be a challenge I do in the month of March, reading my way through that list. The other books that I read on there, which I will link an article down below so you can see the whole list. I have read Circe by Madeline Miller, The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, and My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyungan Braithwaite. All these books I highly recommend, great choices, and I'm really liking this one so far, and I can't wait to finish it tonight. And then I think I might have already mentioned, or maybe that footage was lost since the kitten was being bad, that in February I read all Black authors or stories with Black protagonists or Black issues. So this book I started in January, and I just like to finish up this month, and that is Silicon City, San Francisco, and the Long Shadow of the Valley. And this is nonfiction. This is all kind of like interviews with different people that were residents or have worked in Silicon Valley, how they ended up there, their life story, what they work on, how they've seen the city change. A lot of activists, covers income inequality. So all the stories that I've read so far are incredibly fascinating, and I was reading kind of like one interview or story a night, but I really think I'm ready now to just kind of sit down and read through the rest of the book. And then another book that I've talked about plenty on this channel that I started to read it when I was not feeling well, so it took me, it was like a mental thing where I was reading this book when I was feeling kind of sick and my schedule was busy, so now I associate that book kind of like with that time in my life. I just do that with books, so I needed to put it down for a month or two. Now I'm feeling ready to finish it again, and that is Beren and Luthien by J.R.R. Tolkien. Again, this is the second in the 3 books of the Elder Days. This deals with the first Dark Lord Morgoth. This deals with a human and an elf that fall in love and take on the evil power themselves. This is kind of unfinished, like it is written in kind of like, I can't see if you could tell, like epic poetry style, and it's a lot of like footnotes and appendixes because this is one of the books that J.R.R. Tolkien didn't get around to finishing, but his son Christopher put it together the best that he could, which includes a lot of notes, obviously, for understanding where he was going with a lot of this since it was unfinished. But like I said, I was really excited about reading it. I read quickly through the first book in these 3 books, which was The Children of Harin. It's just they're very, very sad stories, so you kind of understand why he didn't really finish them. But yeah, I'm just, like I said, I am feeling ready to finally get down to this. Then a book that is a carryover from my February TBR is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. There is, I believe it's called it's like a femme fatale. I'm not sure what the actual play on words is. I'll try to remember to link it down below. But there is a readathon going on right now that I just didn't have time to like get ready for. And it's all about women fantasy writers, so I'm kind of like with you guys in spirit. I'm not officially taking part in the challenge, but this is just a fantasy book that I have had on my radar for a while and have been really wanting to read. I don't know that much about the actual story aside from a lot of people that have similar book tastes in me really seem to love this book. I know that there is like some sort of magical powers, and it is kind of like a dystopian future Earth. And I'm just really looking forward to it. Then I'm going to be continuing on with the Farseer trilogy, with the second book, The Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. In January, I read the first book in the Farseer trilogy, The Assassin's Apprentice. That follows Fitz, who is the bastard of the Crown Prince, who he never actually gets to meet. The King Shrewd, who is technically his grandfather, trains him to become a royal assassin. He is asked to do heartbreaking things that he doesn't want to do, that he doesn't think are good, but he does them for his people and for his family, and I don't want to ruin too much. I absolutely loved Assassin's Apprentice, and I cannot wait to continue on with this trilogy. And then the next book on my TBR is actually nonfiction, and that is Originals, How Nonconformists Move the World by Adam Grant. This looks at a lot of different case studies in different fields, and it kind of shows you how people that you look at and you're like, how did they come up with that idea? Like, that's so unique, they're so unique. They just think different than everybody else. This just kind of shows you that speak up when you have an idea, how to like cultivate an idea, and that people that you think are like so original are not as different as you and me. They procrastinate. I think they say that, like, yeah, they procrastinate, they grapple with doubt and fear, they have bad ideas, but what sets them apart is that they choose to act anyway. So I'm someone, I feel like, that has interesting ideas all the time, and I just never like move forward with them, so I thought this would be a good one. I think this is more aimed towards people that work within like a large corporation. I may be completely wrong, but I think I heard somebody kind of in their review describe it that way, that this is great for people that work in larger businesses. I personally see myself going down the entrepreneurial path or working for myself, not necessarily a big company or a small company. So I'm still intrigued to kind of like read about all the case studies and how original people pursue their ideas, develop them, create them. Yeah. And then because March, I just really like, I don't know, I just really like, I guess, like sci-fi-ish dystopians at this time of year. I'm going to be reading Born by Jeff Vandermeer. This has nothing to do with his Area X trilogy, but it's kind of similar. It's a dystopian near future, and it has to deal with like biotech gone wrong. This woman finds this little creature that she is just drawn to for some reason and wants to protect. She doesn't know why, but is this little creature good? Is it bad? What is Born? I absolutely loved the Area X trilogy last year. The Southern Reach trilogy, I've seen it referred to as both. The Southern Reach trilogy is just so different, so unique, and that was one of the books that was like, all right, maybe I do like sci-fi, maybe I do like somewhat dystopian novels. I set this one aside for a while because I just didn't want to read all of his books and have nothing to look forward to, but I think it's finally time to read Born. And then, just kind of in the vein of dystopians and near futures, this is Golden State by Ben H. Winters. So this is a story that takes place in a place called the Golden State that is somewhat like California, it says. the worst thing that a person can do in this dystopian future is tell a lie, and there are actually a group of individuals that are trained to detect and sense lies. They have a special ability, and this follows a young man who is beginning to question his job and his role in this society. Don't know much more than that, don't want to know much more than that. This was a book of the month pick, but when I saw how gorgeous it was in the store, I kind of just had to pick it up. It was at an independent bookseller. And yeah, that is Golden State. Then the last like dystopian-ish book that I'm gonna be hopefully reading is Early Riser by Jasper Fforde. This was my one of my February book of the month picks, and this deals with, again, like a near dystopian future. And in this world, for 4 months out of the years, it's just so cold and snowy, and the world is so uninhabitable that humans hibernate for 4 months. However, there is a group of individuals that have to take care of those that are sleeping. So it's kind of like a ragtag, interesting group of individuals who are trained to watch the humans that are sleeping. Our main character is Charlie Worthington. I believe this is his first year taking part in being one of the individuals that keeps track of the sleeping humans, but something goes awry. There is a dream that has gone viral because everybody's connected via computers. A dream has gone viral. It's killing people. There are like snow monsters that are threatening the facility that they're in, and yes, just very excited. And we just had a big snow last night, so like I said, I might be picking this up next after I finish Ghost Wall. We'll see. And then this weekend, I went to Barnes & Noble with every intention of getting Priory of the Orange Tree. I was super excited to get that, and my Barnes & Noble just here in Stamford, everybody that works there is really nice. I feel like I always have great conversations with them, but I don't know what's going on. Whenever I want a book there, they are literally destroyed. So 4 brand new copies of Priory of the Orange Tree, those were the 4 copies that they got to the store. Literally all of them, the sides were ripped, like destroyed. Like, and they want $30 for it. And I have a discount card, but still, like 10% is not enough off, like a ruined book. And then there's another book that I was looking at. Those edges were destroyed. And then just when I was about to leave, because I did, by the way, I found, it was a Christmas miracle. We were cleaning up Christmas cards, and a Barnes & Noble gift card with a large sum on it fell out of one of the cards. I have no idea how that happened. Like I said, it's a Christmas miracle. But I ended up running across the table and on a whim decided to pick up some Murakami. And actually this weekend, in the month of March, I read After the Quake. This is a collection of short stories that all deal with people's lives after the 1995 earthquake that rocked Kobe, Japan. And it's kind of all about how some events are just so big that they impact like everybody's lives, which obviously an earthquake is huge, but just like how you look back in your life and you're like, oh, during that time, like this was going on in my life. Like there's different things going on in everybody's lives, which is what the stories are all about. But there are just some things that bring like everybody together, and it's just like, just a moment in time. I'm describing this weird, but this was amazing. I connected so strongly with this book and these characters. I have not been able to stop thinking about it, and I just want to pick up more of his books. So I think that I'm going to be working my way through what I got. The others being at Norwegian Wood, After Dark, and then on Instagram everybody's been telling me that I need to read Kafka on the Shore, that is their favorite Murakami. But yeah, I'm finally working my way through Murakami. I see him mentioned all the time on BookTube, and I was like, oh, I think he might be one of those hyped authors, but after reading After the Quake, absolutely not. Super excited to read more from him. And now we are at the TBR jar portion. So obviously I didn't do one in February because of just what I was reading that month. I had specific books that I wanted to get to. In January, I picked The Summer Wives and The Troubadour's Song. So just because of my reading challenge in January to read Bill Gates' 5 favorite books of 2018, I just didn't get to The Troubadour's Song, which is a nonfiction book regarding King Richard the Lionheart's capture and ransom. So I want to get to that. We got this from the Crow Bookshop when my husband and I were on our mini moon in Burlington, Vermont. And again, it's not like I had no interest in it. I'm actually very interested in reading it. I just didn't get to it, so I'm adding it to March's TBR. And then the other book I picked, like I said, was The Summer Wives. DNF'd it about halfway through. Even the audiobook wasn't pulling me through. Just wasn't that interested. I thought maybe like, oh, reading it in January when it's about the summer, maybe that will like be like fun, because apparently I'm never happy in the season that I'm in, but not so true. So I'm gonna just DNF it for now, try it again during the summer. If I don't like it during the summer, then it'll move on. So this month I'm gonna pick out two. I was gonna pick out one, but let's pick out two. And I decided that for my TBR jar, I'm going to update it kind of like quarterly, because the whole point of it is to read backlisted books or books that have just been sitting on my shelves for way too long. So like I said, quarterly, I didn't update it with any of the newest books that I've just recently gotten. So going into April, I'll add the books from January, February, and March that I've gotten. Okay, so here's the first one. What is it? What is it? The Upside of Unrequited. Okay, so funny, because when I was redoing my shelves, I was like, wow, I really have to get to that book. It's been a minute. So The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. I believe this deals with a girl who has had tons of crushes. Yeah, 17-year-old Molly Peskin-Suso knows all about unrequited love. She's lived through it 26 times. She crushes hard and crushes often, but always in secret, because no matter how many times her twin sister Cassie tells her to woman up, Molly can't stomach the idea of rejection, so she's careful. Fat girls always have to be careful. Then a new cute girl enters Cassie's orbit, and for the first time ever, Molly's cynical twin is a lovesick mess. Meanwhile, Molly's totally not dying of loneliness, except for the part where she is. Luckily, Cassie's new girlfriend comes with a cute hipster boy sidekick. Will is funny and flirtatious and just might be perfect crush material. Maybe more than crush material, and if Molly can win him over, she'll get her first kiss and she'll get her twin back. There's only one problem: Molly's coworker Reed. He's an awkward Tolkien superfan with a season pass to the Ren Fair, and there's absolutely no way Molly could fall for him, right? Well, Molly, you're a dumb idiot, because if he's a Tolkien fan and goes to the Ren Fair, like, that's perfect marriage material. If you've been around my channel, you know that I love Tolkien and I go to the Ren Fair a couple times every year. But anyways, yeah, this is, I'm actually happy with this TBR pick, because I don't have any YA on my TBR yet, so this might be a nice palette cleanser. Got this in my owl crate last year, in one of my owl crates, or maybe 2 years ago. Oh, no, maybe last year. And it's one of those that I'm like, I'm sure I'll think it's cute and like it. I've heard good reviews for it, just never got around to it. And that is the point of the TBR jar. Okay, so pick number 2. This TBR is kind of crazy, but March, I've just been feeling like, yeah, I'm in a reading mood. February kind of sucked personally. Sick, had a death in the family, but still managed to read, what, 8 or 9 books? I think 9. But March, I'm feeling it. I feel like I could read like 20 books this month. All right, so we kind of got a classic, To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird. Okay, so you know what? I'm just very happy with these 2 TBR picks, because they're kind of doing exactly, it's doing exactly what I wanted it to do. It is getting me to read books that I need to read. Obviously, I've read this before, but not since high school, so it is time for a reread. So thank you, TBR jar. We got a young adult, and we got a classic, pretty much a classic, right? And that is my March TBR. So like I said, I will be taking part in Read-a-thon. That will be a separate TBR at some point this week, I believe, because it starts the 10th. I'd love to know what you're reading in the month of March. If you've read anything on my TBR that you really think that I should get to, let me know. And other than that, I will see you in the next one.
Hey,